Children, we are learning the Merchant of Venice, Act 4. We will continue today. We are there in the court. Shylock and Antonio are present there, and Duke asks some question to Shylock, and he is answering to the people who present there in the court. And Shylock, we are here after Antonio says that you are talking with a cruel person, Shylock, you cannot expect him to be softened. It is better you to go and make the hardest of the hard thing to do on the earth to be done than making him to understand. So there Bassanio says that keep on requesting Shylock to show little mercy to Antonio. Duke also requested him to show mercy, and he answered back. And here again, when Antonio is requesting Bassanio, let me have the judgment and let me be punished, let Shylock has his judgment, and what all he wishes, let him get. There Bassanio continue, Act 4, Scene 1. For thy 3,000 ducats, here is 6. So, Bassanio is ready to pay more amount to Shylock to make him soften. So, he says that your 3,000 ducats, apart from that, I am ready to give 3 more. That means 6,000 ducats he is ready to give. So, he is telling to Shylock, in place of 3,000 ducats, here is 6. So Shylock, what he answers? If every ducat in 6,000 ducats were in 6 parts, and every part a ducat, I would not draw them. I would have my bond. So Shylock is not ready to accept the request of Bassanio. Instead, he says that I'm not going to get, even if you give multiple of this, 6,000, and each will become 6 parts, and every part a ducat. So there he is not ready to. If you give more and more, also I'm not ready to get the ducats. So he is not ready to receive the ducats. And Duke comes forward and he says, because he is talking without a single dot of mercy. So Duke says, how shalt thou hope for mercy, rendering none? Rendering means show or pay or give. How will you hope for mercy if you yourself do not show mercy to others? That's what Duke says. So he is putting up the question before Shylock. Shylock, how can you expect mercy when you are not showing any mercy? So what Shylock says here? What judgment shall I dread? Doing no wrong. Dread means fear. What judgment shall I fear of? Why I should expect mercy from anyone when I have not done any mistake, any wrong? So why should I? And you have, and he is explaining for not showing mercy to Antonio. Again, in the beginning he says that I can spend 1,000 ducats, 10,000 ducats to Anyone can spend 10,000 ducats to kill the rats which destroys his property. Similar, he says. Here again, he is giving one example which points out the behaviors or the activities of the Venice people. He is asking them, you have among you many a purchased slave, which like your asses and your dogs and mules. Here we should understand, we should go back to the time in which Shylock and Antonio lived. That time there was a system, or they followed the slavery system. They were allowed to buy any man from other parts of the world as slave, as an animal. They can buy an animal, we can buy an animal to have at our home. Like that, they can buy a slave by paying money, and they can use that person as much as they want. So that time the people used slaves equally as things, like an animal. They were not given any freedom to those slaves whom they have bought. They treated them in a very bad and pathetic way. So Shylock is giving that. We should understand nowadays we are not having that such kind of things happening all around the world. Buying the slaves are banned, but that time the people used to keep slaves at their house, in their house. Equally they treated them as an animals. So he is telling that, he is pointing out, you have bought, you have purchased, bought slave which like your asses and your dogs and mules. Asses, animals like ass, dogs and mules like donkeys, ass and mules you bought. Like that you bought, purchased slaves. You use in object and in slavish parts. You are using them for menial task. They used to say that they were treated very badly. They were made to do all kind of work. Very mean work also the people made them to do it. So you are using them for the menial task, work. And he is putting question before them. Shall I say to you, shall I tell you that let them be free? You give them freedom. You bought them. Now I am telling you that you give them freedom. Marry them to your heirs. Heirs means you have bought a male slave, means marry that man with your daughters. Heirs, make them your son-in-laws. Why sweat they under burdens? Why are you making them to sweat? Why are you giving them such a mean work to do? Why are you burdening them? Let their beds be made as soft as yours. Let the bed which they sleep be as soft as yours. They were treated as animals, I said. They were given very less provision. They were not given any freedom. They were they put them equally as where the animals kept, there they kept those slaves. So give them bed which is soft as yours. Be made as soft as yours, and let their palates means let them have the tasty food as you have. Be seasoned with such viands. So let them also have this food as you eat. They were treated very badly, I said, and the same food as you eat, give them that same food. You will answer. If I say that, what you say? What you will give answer? You will answer The slaves are ours, so do I answer you? So you say that the slaves are ours, we have bought them, we have the right to treat them. So do I answer you? So so I answer you, I'm giving you answer. The pound of flesh which I demand of him is dearly bought. So here, what I am demanding for, a pound of flesh of Antonio, is also bought by me, dearly bought. That means I spent a lot. 3,000 ducats I spent, that is costly for me. That means really costly. I spent a lot to buy that. It's mine. So a pound of flesh is mine. And I will have it. I will have it. I want it. And he is demanding for that and pointing out the work which is not being accepted by everyone, which are done by those Venice people, keeping the slaves for the menial work and treating them very badly. So when he put up this question and continuing, he is continuing it. If you deny me, and he is what he is pointing out their weakness, and also he is pointing out, if you do so, what it will be. And if you deny me, fie upon your law. Fie means shame on your law. What law you have made for Venice court is not injustice, and it is shame for you. Shame on you. There is no force in the degrees of Venice. Your Venice law is not having any force in it. It's all waste, and the power of degrees of Venice will not have any strength. So it is shame on you. I stand for judgment. Answer. Shall I have it? So I am here to get a pound of flesh. That is my judgment. So I am here standing to hear the judgment. Shall I have it, Duke? Will you give me my judgment? That's what I'm here. So, Duke, what he says, upon my part, I may dismiss this court. So he got annoyed and he says, with my authority, with my power, I can dismiss this court today. And he says, it is because I have sent for to decide this case to someone. That someone is Bellario, who is a learned doctor of law. Unless and until he comes here, if he is not present here, this judgment will not be carried. So I can dismiss the court. So I am here waiting for him. If he comes, we will carry on the trial. Otherwise, I have the authority to dismiss it. Then Salarino, who is there, he says that, my lord here stays without a messenger with letters from the doctor. New come from Padua. So he is giving the message that someone is standing outside, the messenger is outside with letter. He has come from Padua. So Duke is calling him inside. Bring us the letters, call the messenger. So Duke is calling them. Bassanio talking to Antonio, he is saying, good cheer, Antonio. What man courage yet? The Jew shall have my flesh, blood, bones, and all. He is encouraging Antonio. What man courage, yet the Jew can take my flesh, my blood, my bones, and all before, here means before, thou shalt lose for me one drop of blood. Before you lose one drop of blood on my account, I will not, that means I will not allow you to shed a drop of blood. Before it happens, he will take my flesh, blood, and bones. So he is encouraging Antonio that I will not allow this will happen, and the judgment will be given on favor of Shylock. So here underline the question can be asked, what all Bassanio will give before a drop of blood of Antonio will be shed. That is flesh, blood, bones. Underline 3 marks question. Antonio, I am a tainted wether of the flock, meetest for death. The weakest kind of fruit drops earliest to the ground, and so let me. You cannot better be employed, Bassanio, than to live still and write mine epitaph. Here Antonio is moved with the words of Bassanio, and he says that Bassanio, you don't take that risk. I am a sick, that means here, tainted means sick, wether of the flock. That means I am not a impotent ram. Here he says that I am an animal which is not fit for breeding, like that, which is separated from the flock. And again he is comparing himself with the fruit, that is they are, this is the custom of the people who rear the animals which are not been fit for breeding. They will separate it and they'll sell it for meat and all. So like that I am separated from the flock, I am be for death. I am separated from the flock and I will be taken for, I am fit for death only. That's what he wants to say. And again he says, he with the fruit he is comparing himself. Meat is for death, the weakest kind of fruit, and the weakest kind of fruit which fall from the tree earliest before it become fully grown. The fruits which fall from the trees before it's full grown, like that, drops earliest to the ground, and so let me, so meeting the death before time, that means untimely death, we can say that it is written for me and I am for that only. So let me die, let me give a pound of flesh to that man. You cannot better be employed, Bassanio. So he is stopping Bassanio talking all these things. You cannot be better occupied. You cannot occupy that place which is given for me, Bassanio, than to live. You are given that you are better occupied to live. I am occupied to die. So that to live, how long? Still, and write mine epitaph. You have to live, and to write my epitaph is the stone on that plate. They put it on the grave, writing about that person who has passed the earth. That means died. About him they'll write. So you are the person, I don't have any other person to write my epitaph. You are the one who has to write the epitaph of mine. So you will live and I will die. So the friendship, here you can these two parts, Bassanio's and Antonio's speech of this two parts are, these two extracts are very important. Underline and go through it and understand it better. Twice or thrice you read what Bassanio wants to say to comfort and to encourage Antonio, and what Antonio replies to Bassanio's encouraging words, and what he expects from Bassanio, how their friendship is revealed in these two extracts. There will be many questions asked out of these two extracts. So here we stop and we'll continue in the next class.